Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My phone just went off, that's why I snickered, but I think you missed it. I should probably turn that on vibrate, but it shouldn't go off again for a while. I have no friends, so good start. I'm sorry, I need to adjust myself. My foot was stuck. It's a weird day. So today I built a cabin. Oh my god. Okay, so today I built a cabin. It's on vibrate now, so it's not going to make any more noises. And it's a cabin. It's the first cabin I'm building in Granite Falls because I just got outdoor stuff. So, hooray. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I know it's not Halloween, but I figured I would do some ghost stories because I have a few of them. They're nothing like too special, but it's spooky season, so. And these things, I'm interrupting myself because those things were a bitch. And you will see how terrible they were. They were so bad. It took me like 3 hours just to get that one part, and I'm like, ugh. And also at the end, you'll see that I put a bush in the front where I wanted to put like more flowers, and then I never ended up doing that. I did that off camera because I forgot about it, and then I went to go take screenshots and I was like, shit. So then I had to go back and do it again. And the fire in the back yard, I put stones there instead because whenever they would light a fire, it would just instantly like go up in flames, and I'm like, ugh, that's not good. So yes. Anyway, let's start with the stories. So, actually, no, let's not start with the stories. I have 20 minutes, I can do this. This is a 2-bedroom cabin, and it's just pretty generic furnishing. There's nothing, like, too special about it. I just pictured that, like, maybe a family would go here with their kids or whatever, and the kids' bedroom, there's 2 beds in, but it's also pretty generic, so, and there's the parents' bedroom. So, it's generic. You can have whatever Sims in here. Doesn't matter. And at the end in the screenshots, you will see the woman I bring in for. She's like my little realtor. She makes me happy. So, ugh. Anyway, yeah. There's a few. Not there's also a tent outside, so you can actually sleep. However many Sims a tent can sleep. I don't know. I haven't used a tent yet. I haven't even played with either bowling night stuff or outdoor stuff, and those are the two, or outdoor retreat. Those are the two packs I just bought, and I still haven't played with them. That one worked out perfectly, but the rest of them, no. Okay, anyway, stories. You're not here to listen to me ramble. Also, trigger warning if you get triggered, but there's nothing scary about these, just I know some people don't like them, but I put a poll on my Twitter and some of you said yes and some of you said no, so I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna do it. But I'm gonna label the video and say everything I need to before, and then I'll start talking about them so that you can mute me, because honestly you should probably mute me anyway, I'm annoying. So anyway, let's start. Let me check my notes. I have 5. And none of them are too terrifying. The first one, I was about 5 or 6, and my grandpa died when I was like, I don't even think I was a full year old yet, so he died when I was really young. And every year, he died in April, I can't remember when in April, but every year we go and visit his grave I go and visit his grave with my dad. So this was like the first year I'd ever went, and I was like 5 or 6, I think, maybe like 4. I don't know, I was really young, but I remember this, and his grave is all the way in the back of the cemetery, so like you gotta drive a little ways, and then there's like nothing behind it, there's just a few trees around it, and my dad was standing there, and of course, I'm 4, I'm not gonna stand in one place for that long. I'm like walking around and checking things out, because I had never been in a cemetery before. I thought it was really cool, because I'm a sick person, but I love cemeteries, they're very pretty. Anyway, I'm not not gonna have time to tell you all these if I keep rambling. So I'm just kind of walking around, and then I look up in the tree, and I saw my grandpa. And I obviously had only met this guy like one time when I was younger, and I don't remember it. So I had seen like a few pictures, and I was just like, and I looked at my dad. I was like, Dad, Grandpa's in the tree. And he's like, what? I'm like, Grandpa is sitting up in that tree. And he's just like, okay, because my dad doesn't believe in ghosts, like at all. So I've told him a few of the stories that I've like had, and he's just like, oh, well, that's nothing. And I'm like, but it was something. My mom, on the other hand, definitely believes in ghosts. She's set. So I can tell her all this. And so I looked up in the tree and I was like, Grandpa's there, and he's like, oh, okay. And obviously he didn't want to like hurt my feelings because I was 4. I didn't know what was going on. I still don't know what's going on. So my grandpa looked at me and he waved at me. And I was like, Dad, Grandpa says hi. And he's like, okay, well, tell him I said hi. And I was like, well, he heard you. But he says he has to go now. And I'm just like, oh. And I'm tearing up because this is so cute. I was adorable, and I'm still adorable. No, I'm not. And I was like, well, he has to go now. And my dad goes, well, tell him I miss him. And I was like, he says he misses you too. And then he disappeared. So that was awesome. And I remembered, like, I still remember this. And I was how young? Like, that's really cool. Okay, anyway. And then the next story was a few years after that. I think I was like 5, possibly 7. I don't know. My childhood was just a blur of me doing everything I could to not be inside. So my mom, normally I lived with my grandma, and my dad, but like my mom moved into this apartment, and because my parents are divorced, she moved into this apartment, and it was before she met my stepdad, and it was 2 stories. So there was like the kitchen, I think there was a bathroom, but I have no idea. There was the kitchen, the bathroom, the like little tiny dining room, and the living room on the first floor, and then like a few closets and the pantry, and then the stairs upstairs. And then upstairs, as soon as you got upstairs, was my room. There, you turn the corner to the left, there was a little bathroom and another closet, and then down the hall was my mom's room. So there's only 2 bedrooms. But my mom, she never told me this until like just recently, but she said she had really weird dreams in that apartment. And I was like, me too. And she's like, but you actually remember them? I was like, yes. And she was like, you were only like 7 when we lived there. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I remember. Sorry, there's a weird noise. I'm home alone, so I might die. If this never goes up, I'm dead. You'll never know. That's morbid. So, I only have 10 minutes to do this, and I have 3 more stories. So, she used to remember having dreams about, like, me having a bad dream in the other room and her not being able to get to me for some reason. And I was like, well, that happened a few times because I had the same dream. Like, I was having a really bad dream and I woke up, but I was still in the dream, and I started yelling for my mom, but she couldn't get into my room for some reason. So I'm like, that's freaking weird. So, this one dream, it wasn't really a dream. I woke up the one night and I had a dresser next to my bed where I kept all my stuff, and then there was a chair on the other side of it, like next to the opposite wall. So it was pretty far away, but it was on the opposite side of the dresser, and it was like facing my bed. So I remember waking up and thinking, there's something in that chair. And I was too afraid to look over there because I was afraid that I would like see some demon shit or something. I was not about that. So I didn't, like, our neighbors had like usually had a lot of parties, so there was like a lot of noise going on over there at all times. But like it was completely silent because it was like 4 a.m. and I had looked at my clock and I was like, it's 4 a.m. There's nobody awake right now. So I was just like, okay, well, maybe it's my mom. And then I finally got the courage to look over there, and there was nobody in the chair. And I'm just like, okay, so why am I looking at this chair? And then like, I don't know what happened. I think I just fell back to sleep. But then there was another time when my cousin was over, and she we used to go to the fair all the time. There was like a fair in my in the next county over from us that was pretty big, so we used to go all the time when we were younger. And because my cousin was my best friend, and she still is. So we would go to this fair, and she would like stay the weekend. So we were up really late that night. We were watching TV in the living room, and then we decided to go upstairs and go to bed. And she was on the floor, I was in my bed, and we were kind of just whispering and stuff, talking so that we wouldn't wake my mom. And she tells me to shut up, and I'm like, excuse you. And she's like, no, I'm serious, stop talking. And I was like, okay, why? And she's like, did you hear that? I'm like, I heard nothing. She just like, somebody whispered my name. I was like, well, shit. I was like, we gotta go. And I was like, well, is it my mom? Is she like outside the door? And she's like, I don't know, but you need to check. I'm like, I'm 7. You're like 10 at this, probably like 13 at this point. Can you do it? And she's like, no, you need to go check. I'm like, ugh. So I get up and I open my door and I can hear my mom snoring from the other side of the house. That's how loud she snores. And she always kept her door open. So I was like, no, my mom's asleep. And she's like, well, I'm not sleeping on the floor. And I'm just like, there's no room in my bed. But we managed to both squish into my bed and it was fine. But after that, we moved out and obviously nothing happened. And I think this was a few years later because I used to be terrified of the dark. So I would have to have a nightlight on. And I was staying at my dad's house, which is also my grandma's house. And so I was just laying in bed trying to fall asleep. I think I had school the next day, so I was trying to fall asleep. And I was facing towards where my nightlight was. And my nightlight has a rocking chair in front of it and a dresser on the other side of it. So there's like a very small area behind where this light is. Or where this light is. So I'm laying there trying to fall asleep. And I look over and I see this figure. And it was like a big shadow. It just crouches down and it runs in front of my dresser and runs out the door. And I'm sitting there like, what the hell just happened? And I wasn't scared or anything. I was like, in my head I was going, it's gone. It's not in here. It's fine. But also, I didn't see it leave. Because it kind of disappeared when it got closer to my closet. I was like, well, maybe it's in my closet. I don't know. But regardless, I was freaked out. And I was just like, you know what? Your dad's not going to believe you, so there's no point in going out there and telling him. Because it's like 2 a.m. Or it's 3 a.m. I think he was actually in bed. So I was like, there's no point in going to tell him. So I just kind of laid there and I was just like, well, maybe if I turn over and face the wall, it won't hurt me. And I was too afraid to turn over and face the wall because I'm like, what if it decides to get into bed with you? Ugh. I think I was like 13 at this point. So, yeah, it was not fun. It was never like creepy or anything. And my cousin, whenever she would come over to my grandma's house, we always used to like sit up and talk at night about like stuff we had like seen and experienced, like paranormal, because she has experienced a few things too. And so we'd always talk about it, and I don't know, it's just always really interesting to me because like I've seen stuff and I know that it happens and I'm gonna run out of time. So the next story happened actually just a few years ago. I think I was like 15 or 16 at this point. And I was at my best friend's house and her house has been haunted for like ever. She's told me stories. I've never experienced anything except for this one thing. But like she said that there's always a man walking up and down her hallway, and I would never go to the bathroom alone at night, and luckily I don't have to like get up and pee in the middle of the night. Like I'm fine after I go to bed. I'll just like wake up and whatever. But so we were watching a movie, and it was like a Disney movie, so it wasn't even a scary movie. And the movie was over, so we shut off the TV and we looked up on her ceiling and there was something glowing. And it sounds so stupid. It had the shape of those little aliens from Toy Story. It had the shape of that. And she's like, I don't have a toy that looks like that. And we asked her sister. Her sister was like 6 at this point. And air conditioning turned off. And my friend goes out and asks her sister, she's like, hey, did you leave any toys in my room? And she's like, no, and I don't have a toy that looks like that anyway. And she's like, okay. And obviously she didn't want her sister in her room and like whatever, because she didn't want her sister to get freaked out. And so she comes back in and I'm like putting stuff in front of the mirrors because I thought like it could be one of the mirrors or it could be the window. She had 2 windows in her room, so I'm like covering up the windows with stuff, and this thing was not going away. And I'm just like, what? It wasn't moving. It was sitting there and it was glowing and it would not stop, and it wasn't from the TV or anything. And she saw it too, so I'm not insane, but like we couldn't get it to happen again, and I was staying there for like a week at that time. So every night we tried to get it to happen again and it just wasn't happening. So we told her dad about it, and her dad's like, it could just be this and this, and I'm like, no, we tried everything. There's nothing that could like describe what happened. And so it was just really weird. And this last story has happened quite a few times. Once again, nothing threatening, obviously, but I was we had lived in Tennessee for a year, and and I think this is like the first time it ever happened. I was in my bedroom, laying on my bed, trying to fall asleep, and it had felt like my cat was like on my bed scratching, because like my bed was just lightly shaking, and I was like, my cat's not in here. Or it felt like the washing machine was on and like shaking the room, because the laundry room was like right outside my bedroom. And I was like, the laundry machine's not on. It's 2 a.m. And so like my bed was just like lightly shaking, and like I could see, I don't know how to describe this, but like I had a pillow and it had like a tag and it was against the wall, and the tag was like lightly hitting the wall, so I knew that the bed was actually shaking, and my cat wasn't in there, my dogs weren't in there. I was looking at those rocks or whatever they are, because like look at them. They're freaking fluorescent, and they weren't like that in the real game. Okay, anyway. And so I knew the bed was actually shaking, but like there was no reason for it to be shaking. And then it just stopped. And I didn't hear any noises, nothing. So I'm like, okay, and then I just went to sleep. And then we ended up moving back to New York from Tennessee, and this has happened a few more times, and my cat's dead. So like it's not my cat. My dog doesn't sleep on the bed with me. He sleeps on my floor, like the pathetic thing that he is. And so I'm like, there's nothing that could be describing that could be the cause of this. So I don't know why, but every once in a while my bed will just start to shake and I just have to deal with it. Like, I don't know. It's really weird. So that's all my ghost stories. Like I said, nothing too terrifying. And honestly, I love ghosts. Like, if more stuff like that could happen, that would be really cool. Oh, there's actually one more. My college is apparently haunted because it's one of the oldest colleges in New York. So it's haunted, and the one building I have classes in used to be like a nunnery, I think. So it's a Catholic college. So there used to be nuns in there, and the 5th floor was used as the infirmary, which I've been on the 5th floor. It's definitely not big enough to be an infirmary, so I don't know what they did. But last year I had my bedroom looked out into the building that used to be the nunnery, which is where my classes are. So there's this one office who always has its light on, but like the lights are motion censored. So the light was off at that time, and while I was changing my clothes, I was looking out, and the light in that office turned on. And I was like, wait. And so I told my roommate, I was like, that light was off before, wasn't it? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, well, why did it just turn on? And why did I just see it turn on? She's like, aren't those lights motion censored? And I was like, yes, they are. So there was nobody in that office because I would have seen them walk by the window because it's a small office and there's like one window that could see everything. So I saw nothing and it was very freaky. So, well, I talked for 20 minutes and I'm gonna go. So I hope you guys like this. You can download this on the gallery. Information is in the description. Follow me on Twitter. I'm a very fun person. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.